So what we're working on here is a 2003 F350 6-liter diesel, of course. We had a bolt go through cylinder number 8, and you can see how it just beat the crap out of the piston. A couple pieces of the 3 pieces of the bolt stuck in there. It amazingly did not hurt the cylinder wall. 2 strokes with the hone cleaned it right up, cleaned everything up, cleaned the engine inside and out, put new gaskets in it front to back. I'm not really sure what the series of events was here, but because the story is not making much sense to me. But anyway, so on number 8, it took out the intake valves. The bolt went through. This is a piece of the bolt that the rest of that bolt that's in the piston. It was in the intake port, one of the intake ports, kind of rattling around in there. So apparently the valve, between the valve and the piston hitting the valve, chopped the bolt in half, and then it rattled around in there and did all that damage. So amazingly, a couple 3 pock marks in the cylinder head, and our 5 thousandths surfacing the head took that out. So you can't, I mean, you know, luckily they pretty much shut it down when they heard the problem, or didn't run it very much longer. So anyway, it did bend I think that valve, yeah, this valve here is bent, the exhaust valve. So we got the head fixed, put a new piston in it. I changed the rod. It's probably not bent, but I mean, that's a lot of bang 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 in there. So I went ahead and put a rod in it, new rod bearing. Bearings actually look pretty good in this engine. It only had, like, I think 108,000 miles or something. So aside from this bolt, this is stuff that I found in the oil pan. There's part of this bolt here, and this appears to be a stator bolt on an injector. So at one time it blew the top off, broke the bolts off the top of an injector. I'm not really sure when that happened. There's the rest of the bolt, and then some plastic off of the injector. That stuff was laying in the pan. But anyway, so what I wanted to go over here was when you're working on these, if you're going to pull the intake manifold off for any reason, the intake ports sit flat when you pull that off. So what you want to do, you know, you'll have all this stuff off, of course, but what you're going to want to do is, I always take an air hose and I blow down the side of the intake on both sides, and then I'll take a magnet real quick and stick it in there, see if I get anything out of there, and then blow it again. And that way, when you lift the intake off, if there's anything laying on in between the intake and the cylinder head, it's not going to roll into an intake port, you know, when you pop that manifold off there. So you want to be really careful about that, or you'll get that kind of damage. The other thing too is you want to cover those ports up. You can stuff rags in it, whatever you got to do, just cover them up when you're working around open ports like that, because I mean, it only takes once, you know, to drop something in there. That also goes for the air horn here too. When you have that off, be really careful. I usually put some duct tape over that while I'm working on the engine, so that I don't, you know, you could bump something or something, you know, something fall off your rag, fall in there. You just want to try to be really clean. The other thing you can do too is take your magnet on a stick before you put the intake on and run it down the intake ports, each one, and, you know, make sure you don't have any metallic objects in there. And what I generally do is take the shop back and run the vac through there as well. So it takes an extra minute, but in the long run, you're not going to destroy your engine. So be careful out there.